It's people, they're, I think, still used by Meghan and Harry, friends, to say what they'd like to think and make it all positive and everything's honky-dory. But Harry said something that she wasn't feeling well and was screaming in the night. So you have to think, was that pain or was that telling him off because people have criticised her beyond what she ever thought would ever happen?
And breaking right now, Prince Harry is in New York without Meghan Markle, but it seems like the woke mind virus has got into his head. Lots of bizarre stuff going on, including PR from People magazine, reported by the Daily Mail, that Prince Harry FaceTimed Meghan Markle, Prince Archie and Princess Lilibet before taking to the stage with Diana Award winners in New York. Angela Levin, our Royal Mastermind, Prince Harry's biographer, here to talk through all of this. Angela, first up, I wanted to talk specifically about that leak to People magazine, because a lot of folk are saying, oh, there's some issues with Harry and Meghan because she didn't show up to the Kevin Costner event over the weekend. There's been all of the negative press surrounding the Hollywood Reporter expose. So it seems like a very odd leak, doesn't it, to People magazine saying, oh, but don't worry, Harry might be in New York alone, but he's still calling Meghan. So are we really meant to believe that everything's hunky-dory, totally fine?
No, it's a repeat, actually, very similar to when when Harry wanted to sort of come back to London, and he wanted a home and he wanted to make friends with his family, and that's what he really needed so badly. And then up it came. Harry is incredibly happy where he is. He's got loads of new friends and he loves being with his children and everything's, he couldn't be happier, and he doesn't want to do anything for the royal family that involves work. So this was a sort of absolute opposite of what he gave the inclination that that's what he wanted. And now they're doing it again. And as it's people, they're, I think, still used by Meghan and Harry, friends, to say what they'd like to think and make it all positive and everything's honky-dory. But Harry said something that she wasn't feeling well and was screaming in the night. So you have to think, was that pain or was that telling him off because people have criticised her beyond what she ever thought would ever happen? We'll get on to that in a minute, won't we? But I mean, it's just calling her all sorts of nasty things.
Screaming in the night, it's odd, isn't it?
I think that's why I've always thought that she would never do anything political wherever she is, because, you know, they have to have skins of as thick as you can imagine. And she's so sensitive to anyone saying anything critical about her that she couldn't manage it. I mean, you need a politician who can brush those things away, but she can't. I mean, I think she finds it dreadful, and she can't understand it because she thinks she's the global most wonderful woman, and she just can't take it that people don't actually agree with her.
No, indeed. And this is arguably the worst period of her career, and she's had some pretty bad ones. What is odd, though, Angela, is that Harry has gone to New York, but he used to be, I mean, you knew him, you spent all of this time with him. He used to be a plain speaking, ordinary guy. And I want you to analyze a few of his comments, but it feels like he's been injected by Meghan's woke mumbo jumbo. It's like he's got the woke mind virus running through him. People keep describing what he's saying as a word salad, where he actually says a lot, but doesn't actually mean anything. So I want to show you a couple of examples. This is one of the first ones. When he starts asking a group of youngsters about what the Jamaican government is doing.
You.
The government's recognised you, right? The Jamaican government? Yes? No?
Yes.
Yes, exactly. So the reason I bring that up is because amongst how many thousands of... I'm going to put you on the spot now.
Almost 100,000 now. We've been on for 25 years.
25 years. So we have an army of activists of almost about 100,000. And the reason I bring that up is because they are scattered all across the world in so many different countries. And again, the reason why I bring that up is because surely one of the solutions here is for governments to implement or at least offer or find people, young people like yourselves, and bring them into decision-making, policy-making situations, right? Before the problems exist, and we're very, very good at creating problems for ourselves to try and solve. But surely by bringing young people in at the early stages for those solutions, surely that is where the difference is going to be made. And why is that not happening?
Angela, make it make sense. What the hell is he even talking about? I mean, it's just mumbo
what I'm
jumbo.
thinking is that he has been so crushed by Meghan. He's learnt he has to do what he's told, to stand where she wants him, and to let her speak rather than him. And he's come away without her, and he's lost. He doesn't know how to manage. When he was with me, he spoke naturally very, very well, and he could be extremely funny, and it was all off his brain straight away. But this is that you can see he's really, really nervous and hasn't done his research. I mean, you forget how much effort you have to put into speeches. You can't just go in there and talk unless you're extraordinarily clever. And most people know that, but it doesn't sound like it when it happens. But I just think he's in a muddle before he starts. So he keeps adding words to the sentences, and he's not actually saying anything at all. I mean, I think when you see that, you realize how damaged he is now.
Yes.
It's quite upsetting to see, frankly.
Yeah, actually, I really felt that, Angela, watching this next little part, because I think you're completely right. He's under-researched, underdone, but it's also almost like he doesn't want to be there. Watch this.
The reason why I wanted to go last is because these guys are the ones that give me hope. I've said it years ago, and I'll say it again. The younger generation are not putting too much pressure on you guys. You are what give me hope. The courage that you have gives me hope, because every single one of us need courage in order to really move the dial and create positive change in today's world, probably more so now than ever. So thank you to you guys for giving me and probably a lot of other people in this room hope. And now we need to listen, constantly listen, and then act on the advice and the vision that you have, because otherwise it's your future that's being stolen from you, and that is unacceptable.
Amazing. Thank you. Amazing.
I mean, such muted applause because his heart wasn't in it. His heart wasn't in it.
It's absolutely fascinating, because if you take what he's saying over to himself, you see how upset he is and how he needs hope for the future and how he has to be very, very brave to do it. And what's very interesting is that when he talked to military people who had been damaged emotionally, and he would actually work out how he could talk to them so that they were all right. And the first question I asked him when I went to see him at the palace was that, did he use his work to help him handle his own mental problems? And if you think that was 2017, so a lot has happened since then, but I had the courage to ask that. I thought we'd either have that excellent conversation or he'd throw me out. So I tried to get the excellent conversation. And he sort of said to me, "Oh, that's a question." And it was absolutely silent. It seemed like 10 hours, but I think it's about a minute. And he said to me, "You know, you're absolutely right. It helps me a lot. And I think this is identity. This identity is exactly what he's doing there. He's helping himself dramatically to try and get over this difficult time. It could be about his family, it could be about Meghan, it could be indeed about the world, but I think it's definitely asking people to help him, to give him ideas that will help him manage it. That too is very interesting. I always think it's very interesting that he calls, I think I'm quite old-fashioned on this, he calls women guys. I think it's a bit odd, but I know people do that. But we're not guys, we're girls. So that's just by the way.
It's interesting you speak about the mental health issue, because actually on this trip, Angela, he has said that we should call it mental fitness, not mental health. And that annoys me, because why does it matter what you call it?
No, it doesn't matter at all. And everybody thinks about it, about mental health. I mean, mental fitness doesn't work because, you're only, it doesn't work at all. And I think that he just wanted to do something himself, name something, that at least he's done something. I think it's that desperation that he's so behind Meghan that any little thing he can think of, we could call it this, will actually make him feel a little bit better. He's obviously incredibly unhappy.
Yeah, it gives him something, doesn't it? There was a speech at the anti-landmine event, the Hallow Trust. Now, this was obviously a big thing for Princess Diana. This speech was scripted, Angela, so he was more researched, he was more together. I don't know if he wrote it himself. But I had one issue with the speech, Angela. I want to play you just a little clip from it, because he's talking again about the perils of colonization. And it's just such a difficult, slippery slope for a member of the British royal family to be going down that path. But let's have a watch, and I'll get you to react off the bat.
Angola has brought a collaborative spirit and relentless determination to this endeavour. Demining on such a monumental scale is a challenge for any country, let alone one that has emerged from centuries of colonialism and decades of civil war. Yet Angola, facing a myriad of urgent challenges, remains steadfast in this mission.
It's the best time of year. Football is back, so we're talking Premier League in the UK, in the US, NFL Sundays, and college football Saturdays. With that, of course, comes the glorious grind of fantasy football lineups. This is where your inner manager comes alive, setting the perfect fantasy roster, screaming at your telly, and making last-minute waiver moves that either make you a hero or the guy that gets ridiculed in the group chat. So listen, while you're over here making sure your fantasy team is dialed in, don't let your personal grooming become the guy that gets left on the bench, because let's be honest, nobody wants to fumble their grooming routine. And that's why I want to tell you today about Manscaped's Performance Package 5.0 Ultra, acting as your all-in-one grooming playbook. From keeping things sharp down below with the Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra to taking care of those rogue era nose hairs with the Weed Whacker 2.0, this is the lineup that'll keep you looking and feeling like a champ on and off the field. It will help you feel clean, confident, and ready to dominate your fantasy league. The Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra Groin and Body Hair Trimmer is the franchise player of your grooming roster. With precise trimming capabilities, it's reliant, efficient, and gets the job done without fumbling. Whether it's for date night, a weekend tailgate, or just everyday grooming, this is the tool you want on your squad. No one wants a surprise ear or nose hair making a guest appearance on game day, so the Weed Whacker 2.0 handles those details like a pro, keeping you neat and ready to go. No missed tackles in your grooming gang. The Performance Package 5.0 Ultra doesn't stop at grooming essentials, because today it comes with 2 completely free gifts. This is so cool. The Boxers 2.0 Midnight Bravo and the Shed 2.0 Toiletry Bag premium gear to ensure you're always ready for action, whether at home or on the road. So join the over 10 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped. I'm one of them. And get ready for kickoff by heading over to www.manscaped.com. Use the code Outspoken for 20% off, and totally free shipping. Trust me, you'll be drafting the real MVP of grooming this season. So 20% off, free shipping. You just have to use the code Outspoken at checkout at www.manscaped.com. Stay on top of your grooming game and be ready for anything the season throws your way. You know, colonialism, according to Prince Harry there, is a bad thing. Angela, now he's a member of the British royal family. This is just... He just has to be so careful because he doesn't know what he's opening up.
Yes, it's very difficult. He really mustn't take the role of anybody within the royal family because that can affect the monarchy. Maybe that's what he wants to do,
Maybe.
but he can't express what should be done on behalf of the royal family. And therefore, he has no power. And whatever he says doesn't have to happen. It's completely out of it, but it can damage. And I think that that together with the phony royal trips abroad, I think that the royal family has to do something about it. Never mind about lots of things, but you can't have someone who hasn't got the okay on talking like that.
No, I couldn't agree more. I couldn't agree more. Now, his security thing is such a big issue to him. And last time in New York, there were all of those fake claims about a car chase, which just simply couldn't have happened in Manhattan. Anyone who's been to Manhattan for 5 minutes knows it's impossible. But this time, Angela, without Meghan by his side, there was a serious security operation going on. It's been captured on camera. So let's have a look. They shut the road down.
Yeah, they shut the road down and he was coming out of a garage. That's what we saw. And I mean, to do that, there was about 6 or 8 of these tough guys who were, just right for him. But I think they did it because he was very, very neurotic about it.
Yes.
And I think he would be because he's scared. And but it was his fault, really, that what he wrote in Spare, that he talked about the number of Afghanistan people that he had shot or killed in one way or another, and that makes him more vulnerable. But I think if he's with Meghan, he feels that he's got to look after her. So he doesn't so much worry about himself. But now he's on his own. He feels that he can't not go home. So he must be super looked after.
Now, there's lots of other issues with this trip, Angela. Harry is yet again sidling up to the Democrats and getting political. Niall Gardner of the Heritage Foundation, very concerned about this, pointing out that Harry is to join Bill Clinton to discuss global challenges, including climate change, in a session called Everything Everywhere All at Once at the Clinton Global Initiative annual meeting. Now, you're also concerned, aren't you, about how Harry is sort of riding roughshod over these regulations and rules that have been in place for a long time for the British royal family. And remember, he remains in the line of succession.
Yes. Well, it's appalling, really. The first notice, this is the same when something is said and then they absolutely do the opposite a few minutes later and say, they've made a big mistake. But first of all, it was that he had joined the First Lady in America, and they were going to encourage people to vote. So that's obviously they're not going to ask people to vote of the other side. They want people who are, already there and to keep going. So that was shocking. But now it is that he is going to work with the minister there, with Biden there, Joe Biden, and he's going to get involved in that way. Well, he just cannot. So the next thing was, story 3 was that it came out that it wasn't Meghan or Harry who was doing this. It was the Archwell people who worked there. They'd come up with this idea. They are doing it. But, 5 minutes earlier, Harry was going to work with the president. Now he had nothing to do with it. But, they've done that on their own. Well, actually, you'd have to be daft if you believe that, because the Archwell Foundation is them.
It's them.
And if you've
Literally
got
them.
somebody like Meghan who's running it, um, the people would not do something without discussing it with her. So they think that we're stupid, or they don't want to know what we think. But this is the muddle that you get into, so you don't really know what's going on or what they're doing. But here's a member of the royal family. He uses his name, and he cannot do that. They absolutely cannot do that. They have to decide whether they want to keep the title or not. And this is where I said just before about Meghan getting into politics. She doesn't want to be criticised, and that will fortunately keep her away. She can tell everybody else what to do, but she won't get involved with herself doing things.
Now, Angela, you say that you can't trust a word these two say, and I agree with you. So do we actually believe that Meghan called in sick to this Kevin Costner charity event, or was this because the damning Hollywood Reporter takedown had come out and she didn't want to risk being booed given there were members of the public there? I mean, there were lots of A-listers at this event: Jeff Bridges, Rob Lowe, Pink. Meghan was there last year, but Harry claims now that she was sick.
Yeah, well, she might have been sick of what was going on in the world. You know, there's a different meaning to the word sick. So
That's true.
we could say that, but probably not. I mean, it would be extremely humiliating for her to get there with people calling her all sorts of names, and that she's a nasty person and treats everybody very badly. I don't think. I agree that it's very, very difficult to go there. You just want to hide away, whoever you are. So I would find that that's quite possibly what she wanted to do, not to be there. Because if people started asking her, what does she feel about all the criticisms of her lately? Who wants to answer that? It's a bit like the Labour Party, isn't it? They're all sort of desperate to get away from the criticisms. You don't want to mention them. They don't happen. They don't exist. And I think that's why. But I think for anybody to be so badly attacked by magazines, people, I think that, it's best if she stayed away. She'll come up with something anytime now, because it'll die off. And she'll come up with what she's doing in the future, which might not take place.
Thank you so much for watching Dan Wootton Outspoken. Please do subscribe if you want lots more clips and interviews like that. Plus, if you want to watch our totally uncensored after show, then visit www.outspoken.live.